Good morning and welcome. I'm doing a little podcast on my own today. I was going to go on the group later, but it gets a little bit, I'm a little bit stuck for time, particularly this time of year. We've been so busy in what we've been doing in terms of all the charity stuff and things. And we still got the CIC running, and I'm still at work as well. So I had an early finish today, no clients, which is good. Well, it isn't good, but it is just for today. So I thought we'd come on, do a little derby preview, have a little chat, chat to myself. You can have a little listen to it and comment if you want, and then I'll have a little general look about sort of things what's going on at the club at the moment because there's a lot of panic around people. I don't really sort of understand it myself. We have to be realistic about stuff, and obviously when managers have a little bit of a rough spell, they're always under pressure. It's the nature of the game today. I don't think it's the right way to be, but it's just the way it is. And I'm pretty sure that Chris Davis is aware of that, the same as every other manager in the Football League, Premier League, whatever, is aware that if they don't get results, the job is gone. Um, there's a couple of ways of looking at it from Blue's point of view. I mean, personally, firstly, I think that I've been looking at some of the YouTube sites and that, and I hate what happens with YouTube sites. I mean, we don't do it, or we don't do that sort of stuff, but they actually use clickbait themselves. Like headlines like Davis decision to be made, or Davis under fire, or something. When he really isn't. It's just completely made up. We don't know. No one from the club has said anything. No one knows what's going on. So don't make stuff up just to get people to come onto your a platform. It just isn't right. You shouldn't be doing that. I mean, we're all Blues fans apparently, so just be honest with what you're putting on there. We're going to talk about Derby today, but I just wanted to talk about that thing and about Chris Davis as well. I mean, he hasn't had an absolutely disastrous run. It hasn't been really good, but in all honesty, um, if you look at our position at the moment and look at our finishing position for the last 10 years, it's the best position we've been in. So I mean, in terms of that, if you're going to sack your manager for getting you to the best position you've been in for 10 years, then fine. It's funny how some Blues fans turn the tables when it comes to having a go at him. Last season, clubs were saying, you bought the league, and our fans saying, we haven't spent as much as you say we spent. We haven't bought the league. You haven't heard of hardly any of the players that we've signed, which they hadn't, which we hadn't. In all honesty, I'd heard of a few of them. And now our own fans are saying, "Oh, he's had the money, he's had all the players." You can't have it both ways. You got to decide. Don't just say stuff to suit the argument. You got to be honest about stuff. If you think Chris Davis isn't good enough, and we've all got an opinion on it, that's fine. You don't have to go out there and tell the world, because the problem is when you do that, then everyone jumps on it. And then the more people that jump on it, like suddenly, outside of our Blues family, people get hold of it, and then they start talking about it, and then other people start talking about it. Next thing fucking crappy things like Talk Sport start mentioning it, and all that stuff. And as soon as that starts happening, what all you're doing is adding pressure to the manager and to the players. And at the end of the day, when that happens, all you're going to do is make us get even worse results. And don't forget, the grass is always greener. Look at John Eustace and Rooney, and look what happened when John Eustace went last season. And I think Tom Wagner's learned from that. I don't think for a minute Tom Wagner's going to sack Chris Davis this season anyway. I mean, at the end of the season, if he isn't where we want to be, fine. Blues fans are also saying, Wagner said his aim this season is to get or what's required this season is to get into the Premier League. He's never said that. What he said is, obviously, we all want to get into the Premier League as soon as we can. And as soon as we can means this season. But it's not like, he hasn't said to Chris Davis, if you don't get us up this year, you're gone. I mean, that would be a stupid way to manage a manager, if you want. And I don't think it's Tom Wagner's way at all. And let's hope that common sense or just sense prevails, and we don't we don't want to be being a Watford or something like that who change the manager every 6 weeks. We've had the same manager now for a year and a half. And someone said yesterday, one of our posts, like, that it's been like this for a year and a half now. It's about time Davies sorted it out. It hasn't been like this for a year and a half. Last season we lost 3 games. How can it be going wrong when you lose 3 games? And then don't say the opposition or whatever. It doesn't matter. There's another 24 teams in that division below us now, and some of those have got a lot of really good players in them. They can't get out of it. So just think about what you're saying before you say it. We weren't good last week. We were poor, and I think a lot of things sort of came together to work against Chris Davies and us last week. The goal after 5 minutes was unforgivable. They just left Bindon completely unmarked. He's a big lad. And I mean, there was no one anywhere near him. He had he just had the freedom of the penalty area. That should never happen. And I'm pretty sure Chris Clara has been given a bit of a bollocking about that, as probably as Rob Neumann. And I think Clara's little delivery to camera after the game says quite a lot. He's sort of taken responsibility, and I think the players have to take some responsibility when it's things like that, when they switch off concentration. There's some people saying, well, if they switch off like that, Chris Davies should be telling them not to. Well, what do you mean? Can't tell someone, don't, all right, don't switch off, and then they do. I mean, we're all human, and you can't really have much complaint about Chris Clara since his time there, and he was one of the, he's the captain. He was in the penalty area. He's a defender. If we're marking, with zonal marking. So when we zonal marking, then we have to pick up space, and someone didn't pick up space, did they? Because Bindon just had miles of it. And we've seen, I think, we've looked a little bit poor in defensive situations on several occasions. Someone was explaining to me yesterday how, that Waters not a good right back because he doesn't defend that well. Well, Waters, at the right back in our team usually is the fourth defender, the one that goes forward. So if we're having a lot of possession, then he's going to be up the pitch a lot of the time, and it's the right-sided centre half's job to cover him as a right back, which has always been the issue with Chris Clara covering the left. But that aside, we're not going to pick the bones out of that defeat again. I mean, Doyle's rather reckless challenge. I mean, if you go into a challenge at that speed, it looks uncontrolled. And even if when you play it back in slow motion, it doesn't look that bad. It's an uncontrolled challenge. I mean, he didn't know. He was going so fast. I mean, like he hit Hamer with a bit of pace, and Anyway, the rest is history. We got Derby County on Saturday. It's the first of a few games that we really have got to start. If we aim to finish in that top six, we're 6 points outside of it or 5 points outside of it. We need to start winning a few games. And home, we've got 3 home games and 1 away game. Away game at Watford, 3 home games with Derby County, Southampton, and Coventry. Earlier in the season, I was saying, a few weeks ago, I was saying that our away games, we've played probably the best teams away from home so far. Our away games have been quite tough. And now we've got to play those tough teams at St Andrews. So this is where we see exactly what we're made of. I mean, I wouldn't say Derby, I think, are the only team we haven't played so far. And I wouldn't say they ain't going to be amongst the fanciest team to go up, but they're not a bad team. They've got some good players. They've got Brewster, and Cameron Brereton Diaz as the 3 that, as 2 wingers, if you like. Although they're not 2 wingers, they're 2 midfielders that sit behind Brewster. They play with 3 defenders. So they play with a back five basically. It's a low block, but we know how Eustace plays. It's not an attractive thing to watch. And coming to St Andrews, I think we're going to see them looking pretty defensive. Um, we know that Sanderson can't play because he's on loan from us. So Sanderson will be a sideline for this one. I don't know who's going to come in to replace him, but they got Langelis and Clark as the two other central defenders, and the wide men are Elder and Ward. Those are the two uh, additional defenders, if you want, the two fullbacks that will be marauding forward. If you can maraud forward when you play, people use this five at the back. They use it sounds quite attractive when you say play with wing backs, because actually it isn't really like that. What it means is sit deep, defend, and hit the opposition on the break, and that I think is what they'll look at doing. Although they have got some talented players, Brereton Diaz is a nice player. I liked him at Blackburn. I thought he looked good, and I think Agyemang as well. They've got a bit of talent in this side. I don't think they should go away from St Andrews with anything. They haven't been on a brilliant run recently. We just have a little let's have a little look at how. Um, we'll have a look actually at what their recent matches. I don't think they've won that many games. I haven't. Um, so the most recent games, they've actually got three games without defeat. So they drew 1-1 at home to Portsmouth in the last game. They won at Sheffield Wednesday in the one before that. They actually won 3-0 on the 15th of December. And then they lost at home to Leicester 3-1. They lost away at Middlesbrough 2-1. And then they won away at Swansea. So they've won one of the last five, the same as us, but we've lost one more than them. Um, so, we're pretty much they've got one more point than us. They're 12th in the table. So this would be a really important game for us to win if we can win it. It takes us, at the moment we're sitting on 29 points. It takes us up to 32. It will put us around 8th, 9th, 10th in the table, and then we're starting to close in. But any team that has three or four wins is going to be right up there in this division because teams just don't win that many games back to back. We have got, we've got a really tough time coming up. We've got Derby, and it's an early kick-off as well. I don't like the early kick-offs. I don't think it suits players a lot of time because it throws them out of their normal routine. And of course, it's the same for Derby, but and you can't use it as an excuse, but it is the truth. And then we've got, we're then at home on the 29th, which is Monday, to Southampton, 9:15, 8:15 kickoff. The Derby game is 12:30. I'm looking at my time at the moment. 29th, we've got an 8:15 kickoff and Southampton. Then on Thursday, which is 3 days later, Jesus, New Year's Day. That's a tough trip to Watford. It's a 4 o'clock, just a 3 o'clock, a normal kickoff. And then on the 4th of January, which is the Sunday, is it? First, second, third, yeah. We're at home to Coventry at 1 o'clock, at 12 o'clock. And then we go into those FA Cup games. So that's a tough run of games, isn't it? I think we are going to be, we should be looking at 3 points against Derby. We are home to Southampton on the Monday evening under the lights at St Andrews. I don't think Southampton are that great a side. I think that's a game we can win. Away at Watford, a point would be good. Home to Coventry. I don't like Coventry. I hate the way their fans are suddenly like, look at us, we're absolutely brilliant. And this new thing is calling them, the old tin pot in it, like Brum pot, or whatever they want to call us. They didn't mind like own our ground off us for a year when they were thrown out. But now they're this all singing, all dancing football team. I still think the wheels can fall off it for Coventry, and I think we can. I think we can beat them. But then again, I think we can beat everyone. I tend to be so optimistic. I didn't fancy us at Sheffield. And I think it's the only time I've said, that it's not really something that it's not something I do very often. But I still had a feeling about Sheffield and things went wrong for us. What I'm talking about here, I forgot to say it, but apparently what you got to say is hit the subscribe and hit the like. We want to get some more subscribers. I mean, our channel, what we want to do is just be an honest channel. We don't, a bit like our group, BCFC the Project. We just want to be honest. And if if you got Facebook, come and join our group, BCFC the Project. We've got 24,000 members. We are the honest group. We don't allow any slagging of players and slagging of each other and abuse and all that business. That doesn't work for us. But I think what we should do is, subscribe, like, and come to the project. I am honestly, when I speak to you about our games, I'm speaking honestly about them. I have my own ideas about how we set up and how we play. I do like the way we play football. Not when we lose him, but you can't. No one wins every game, and we certainly don't. But I think if you look at the team on Saturday, it's going to be a little bit different, of course, because we have now got a player missing, haven't we? We haven't got Doyle. So I think looking at the setup, Allsop's going to stay in goal. We've still got an injured goalkeeper with Beadle, and he's not quite right yet. And I don't think it's all right. Allsop's okay. He wasn't really at fault for anything last week. His kicking was poor. A lot of it was going into touch. But I'm not going to have a go. Listen, you could have a go at every single player in that team. On Saturday, it wasn't good. The wheels fell off. Well and truly fell off. But I think if you look at this team this week, we're going to have Iwata on the right side of the back four. Neumann and Clara expect to remain there because there's nothing you can do at the moment, because the other centre back, Jack Robinson, is going to be playing as the left fullback because Cochrane isn't right yet. He's going to be out this weekend. And I thought Jack Robinson actually was one of the bright moment or bright spots of last Saturday's game. I also think, to be honest, when Cashin came on, he looked decent. I mean, whenever I've seen Erin Cashin before, I thought he just looked nervous and lost a little bit, but he was going around like a bloody, like a train when he came on against Sheffield United. I thought he did really well. The question obviously is, could he do it for 90 minutes, and is he going to be here for much longer? I don't think he is. I think probably Brighton will take Cashin back. They may well take Beadle back as well. I mean, I don't think our supporters have helped with Beadle really. They've had a downer on the kid simply because people like Allsop. It's not a reason to keep a player out of the team. But we've got two pretty good goalkeepers, and to sort of force one of them out is terrible. So the midfield will be interesting because we've got no Doyle. So I think we've got to fully expect it to be Leonard and Pake. I don't think that's a bad pairing. It's nice to see Leonard back. I think Leonard. It was a little bit hard on Leonard when he got dropped when Pake returned after his dislocated shoulder, and I think it was hard on him because I quite liked him with Doyle. Pake is a very, very good footballer, but I do think sometimes, like Chris Davis, I think he's the first name on the team sheet with Chris Davis, and sometimes Pate can look a little bit jaded, and he isn't quite as adventurous. But to be fair, you've got to say he's got 4 goals, and the lad turns up everywhere on the pitch. He's very, very good footballer, and I think he's one of those you don't notice that much. Up front, what we're going to do this week, I can't see Anderson starting. Apparently, he might have a bit of a knock anyway, but I just didn't think he looked all over the place when he came on last weekend. So I'm fully expecting Patrick Roberts to be back on the right side. I think Williamson will stay on the 10 as well. I don't think Williamson did badly either, to be honest. Like I said, there are a few bright spots to come out of last weekend, and I think Williamson was one of them. After returning from such a long layoff, he didn't look too bad. I've said it before. He's a bit languid looking, Williamson, and he can do your head in a little bit. And he sort of trips over himself a little bit because he's so tall and he looks a bit clumsy, but actually he's a really good footballer. He's got good feet. He's not particularly fast. He's not very good in the air, but he's got a good footballing brain, and and he can pick a pass. And we've seen that before. We've seen it last season. This season's different, of course. Championship defenders are a lot keener, and they're going to be on him a little bit quicker. But I think he'll start. And I think we'll have Dimmy Gray on the left and we'll have Stansfield up top. The argument at the moment, of course, is does Kyogo play? It depends which side of the fence you sit on. Um, Up until a few weeks ago, probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks ago, I was thinking, yeah, it's going to come for him, it's going to come for him. But you have to draw a line under things sometimes and say, you know what, this ain't going to work. And people are saying, well, if he had the service, listen, he's had the service. He's had probably 8 1-on-ones. I can't think of any forward, any Blues forward that would get away with missing the chances he's missed. And he's missed some really good chances. And then people have said, well, and he scored a few offside goals, yeah. But unfortunately, offside goals don't count. And he does find himself in offside positions a lot. He doesn't, I don't know, like, whether the championship's a little bit quick for him. He scored all his goals in Scotland, and I don't know, I'm not sure, the championship is harder than the Scottish Premier in general. He played for Celtic, so it's the best team in that division by a country mile. And I think he was just marauding really against, you can imagine him in League One or League Two. I think that would be more the level that we're looking at with Scotland Premier, some of the bottom half of the Scottish Premier League. So, was he playing against lesser opposition? I don't know, but it's not working for him. And I think you have to say at some point to say, you know what? Nah. And I think the same with Ducks. He just hasn't. Again, he's another one that I think. There's a footballer in there. He's got good feet. He reads the game quite well. He can lay off a pass, but that's good. But he doesn't like to be tackled. He doesn't like to be roughed up. And if he does, he disappears, and you can't have that, particularly in the Championship. It's a hard division. He's used to the Bundesliga too. Completely different thing altogether. And I think he's looked good in a couple of games, but that's it. I think he's probably had 3 good games, and that's being honest. And I want him to succeed. Twice he played with Stansfield, he looked good, but then like the last couple of times he's played with Stansfield looks frustrated, and he has to go back and do his job for him, or go forward and do his job for him, depending where he plays. So I don't think Duck starts. So really, that leaves us with Lyndon Dykes or Stansfield, and for me, it's always going to be Stansfield, particularly at home. And then, secondly, it leads us to the question: do we need another striker? And the answer to that is massively yes, we do. We need a striker in the January window. We need someone that probably knows the division. January won't be quite the same as August was when we use the software and we look at 40 countries and all that. I think this is going to be more a job now of looking amongst what's available and picking it out. I think we need a striker. I think we need a right back because Asai Samuel is away at the moment until the middle of January. Laird is probably out until February, I hear. Iwata's fine. Asai Samuel hasn't, hit the ground running, but since then he's gone into a slow walk. Samstead isn't. He's not going to be at the club much longer. He's not a championship fullback. He just isn't. Particularly not playing the way we play. He doesn't get forward. He hasn't got the athleticism. He hasn't got the ability to take players on that Laird has and Iwata has. So I think we're going to be looking at a progressive right back, someone who can get themselves up there. And I think probably if we had to pick another one to buy would be a left-sided centre half because I think at the centre halves at the moment, I'm not convinced with Neumann. I think Clara's fine if he's got the right player alongside him. A few people have said, go back and have a look at, now Rowett's gone, go back and have a look at uh, Ben Davies because Rowett wasn't playing him well and makes it even worse. When Rowett wasn't playing him, a new manager's going to want to look at him. So I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm not sure Ben Davies is really a championship centre half. I don't know. I know a lot of people jumped down my throat for that. But he looked really good with Chris Clara last season, and I'd be quite willing to, yeah, have him back by all means. But perhaps we should aim a little bit higher for this one. I don't know. I think we have to forgive Jack Robinson as well. He made his errors. He's paid for it. He really has, and he's not a bad left-sided centre half or left back. He's quality. So I think we've got to give him another chance, and hopefully this could be the start of a little run. You look at the team now, and without new additions, I think we're a bit lightweight in this division. I think we do need these three positions uh, um, adding to the squad, and then we have to look at who's going out. So I think Cashin will go back. I think on loan. I think Kumas will go back from his loan. He hasn't really played that much. There's a possibility Beadle could go back. Um, Apart from that, you see people say, get rid of Kyogo, he's not scoring yet. Let him go. Well, let him go. He's like, that's a crazy thing to say. It's as if like loads of people are waiting for him to come and get him because they won't be. He's on a 3-year contract and he's 31. If he's got any sense, he's going to sit on his contract unless someone comes along and gives him a better one. We can't do nothing about that. Exactly the same with Ducks, 30-year-old centre forward. I think those contracts were personally, I think they were too generous, but I don't do that job. It's not my job, nothing to do with me, but it's just an opinion. Um, we've got Kanya Fujimoto, who no one's seen, but apparently he's like a really, really good number 10. But obviously, Chris and Ben have looked at him in training and thought this ain't, this kid ain't going to work in the championship. And we've seen him against Port Vale, I think, and he it didn't look great, did he? And we've seen him come on as a cameo in a few times. He can't mix it at this level. The other ones, same with Ducks as Kanye, as Kyogo. You can't, he ain't going to go nowhere unless some German team comes in for him, or we can send them out on loans and that if we want to replace them. I mean, I think we're only going to be, signing one striker, so we're probably going to end up with 4 or 5 strikers. I think Lyndon Dykes might go. That's got a chance. Samstead won't be going because we haven't got right fullback cover, and rather than buy another right fullback or loan one, I think we'll keep our powder dry there and spend our money on the places where we really, really need it. Um, so it's an interesting conundrum, really, coming up to January. We'll have had these 5 and 6 games out of the way by then, and we'll know where we are as we get into it. But they will already be looking at players, so I'm expecting something early on in January because the sooner they come to us, the sooner they train with us, the sooner they get into that team, and the sooner they play. So we don't want to be waiting till the end of January. That's another 6 games, 7 games. We don't want to be in that position going into February where we could be looking at 10 points behind the playoffs. We need to act now. And I'm pretty sure that Chris Davis knows that he's under pressure. And being under pressure doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to lose your job. But all the talk, all the so-called Blues YouTube channels sticking this clickbait on about him getting the sack. All they're doing is putting pressure on their own club, and I just don't understand it myself. And it ain't something we do, but we're more sensible, aren't we? With a grown-up YouTube channel, just like our Facebook group. But don't forget, subscribe, like, please do that for us. think we've got 450 followers now, which is fucking amazing for us, really. I mean, me, fucking hell, what's going on? And we'll be doing a couple of lives on Facebook. This is going to be going on Facebook as a premiere at 6 p.m. tonight, which is Christmas Eve. So listen, if you've got kids, make the most of them now because my kids have grown up. And you know what? On Christmas Eve, it's just the best time in the world when you got kids. Just look at their little faces and it's fucking great in it. You know, it really is. And I was just talking to Tony Routley earlier. Yeah, we've been working together with the Independents, uh, and he was saying, you know, like the kids in care party on Sunday that we did. You know, it's fucking heartbreaking. It really is. And we got a few little things coming up in the new year that we're going to be working. Um, with Central Blues Travel and possibly like the others as well, and seeing if we can do a bit more in that direction, you know, because kids in care, it's such a shame, isn't it? You know, when you look at your own kids and imagine if it was them, it's heartbreaking. But anyway, I'm going off track a little bit here. But listen, thank you so much for joining me today. We are doing a live on Facebook tomorrow morning between 9 and 11 UK time. There's going to be a few posts on our Facebook group, BCFC The Project. So have a look. You'll see the posts. You'll see the Zoom joining code. So all you have to do is go into Zoom, put the code in there, and it will bring you straight into me. And then we can just have a chat. We'll have a chat about the Boxing Day game. We'll have a chat about, you know, what how's your Christmas going? What you're going to do today? You know, anything you want really. Just have a little chat, and particularly if you're spending Christmas Day on your own, come and have a little chat with me for 2 hours. It'll make you wish. It might probably make you wish you hadn't. But listen, thank you so much for listening to me for the last I don't know, like about half an hour or something. It's always nice to talk, and you can see I like talking, and particularly about our Blues. So listen, guys, let's get behind them. Uh, this season we got an opportunity to get out of this league. Let's not shoot ourselves in the foot. Let's keep behind Chris Davis. Let's give the lads a chance. And listen, happy Christmas. Have a fabulous time. And I'm going to speak to you soon. Thank you.